So I was originally going to show different clips from TV shows and movies about bipolar disorder, but I decided to just focus on the storyline of one specific character that was actually accurate as to how the disorder is. So I felt like the best way to explain it would be actually watching bipolar disorder episodes in action. So the show is Shameless, and the character is Ian Gallagher. I did a bit of research to make sure that everyone, and not just myself, agreed that the show portrayed the disorder correctly, and I found more than enough confirmation from so many different people, including those themselves who suffer from bipolar disorder, that Shameless did a fantastic job at portraying the disorder. People loved it. So basically this is in the life of Ian Gallagher and how he dealt with being diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder through seasons 1 through season 6. Ian was always considered to be one of the better ones in his huge and crazy family. He was extremely hardworking, he was one of the kindest people ever, he cared about everyone and everything, he was in ROTC training, and his dream in life was to go to West Point and join the military. But the parents of the family weren't too great. Their dad, Frank, was an alcoholic and didn't care about his kids at all, and their mom, Monica, was neglective and only came home a few times a year, and on top of this, she had bipolar 1 disorder. For her story with bipolar was horrible. Her whole life, she refused to take any medication, refused to admit that she had the disorder, and she had actually tried to commit suicide several times. Because she was bipolar on top of being neglected, everyone in the Gallagher family had a horrible perception of bipolar disorder. They felt as though if you had bipolar disorder, you were crazy and insane, and they wanted nothing to do with their crazy mother. But that's where things started to take a turn. All of a sudden, Ian starts to act a little different. In the last episode, he decides to give up on getting into West Point and decides to enlist in the army. So he runs away from home without telling anyone and enlists. This is where Ian starts showing real signs of bipolar disorder. At the start of season 4, the family still has no idea where Ian is, but one day, 2 army generals come up to Philip Gallagher, Ian's older brother, and try to arrest him. Philip and the generals talk, and they find out that Ian had went AWOL, and they were trying to find him because he had attempted to steal government property and had lied about his identity, saying that he was actually Philip Gallagher, because Philip was old enough to enlist, but Ian wasn't, so Ian used Philip's identity. Later, Ian decides to actually go home, and Fiona, their oldest sister, notices something odd about the way Ian's acting.
Where were you?
The Army. I enlisted.
The Army?
Yeah, I wanted to find myself. Didn't think I could do it here.
Oh, don't you have to be 18?
Don't know, don't care. I left. Stuff got nuts.
What stuff?
Oh, military trying to control me.
Well, isn't that what the military does?
Got sick of it, but hey, I met some amazing folks. Got all these great ideas. I'm a different person. Hey, but we can talk about that later, right?
Sure. Do you want a sandwich?
Yeah. Oh, start it.
It's yours.
Nice hardware.
Yeah. My winter boots don't fit. All I can get on are some tennis shoes. Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, great. Why?
You seem a little caffeinated. So, what's next for you?
Oh, I've been thinking about apprenticing with this electrician I met. You know, learn how to wire stuff.
What about high school?
Oh, Frank finished high school. Worked out great for him.
You have to finish, Ian.
I don't have to do anything. I'm done living the way other people want me to live. But, hey, thanks for the sandwich.
And then Ian's friend, Mickey and Philip, again notice something odd about the way Ian's acting.
What do you think of gaming?
Well, you mean like playing them?
No, the business side of it. Online multiplayer gaming is the future. I read all about it in a magazine. Think you'd be any good at it? Yeah, I think it'd be great. I got tons of ideas for games, you know. Here it is.
A bit longer passes, but manic episodes don't last forever. One day, Ian's manic symptoms go away, and in come his depressive symptoms, and the start of his depressive episode.
Yo, it's after 5. You trying to set some sort of record? You're not still sleeping. Get up.
Leave me alone.
Ian, are you high? You take something?
Just leave me alone.
The first day of Ian's depressive episode, Mickey realizes that something is 100% wrong with Ian, so he, Mandy, and Ian's siblings all go to see what's going on, and then they come to their realization.
Or I could get my sneakers in the house and we can go for a run at the track. You wanna go for a run? Get some fresh air? What do you say? Okay. Okay.
How long has he been like that?
Since yesterday morning.
And he hasn't gotten out of bed?
No, he's just sleeping. I can't get him up. I tried.
Yeah, so did I. And what about before? What was he like?
Before he was fine. He was happy. He's staying up all hours of the night, dancing. I can't keep up with him.
We gotta get a hold of Lip. He should know.
Know what? What's wrong with him?
Depression, I think.
He's depressed? I'm
He's
here.
not that kind of depressed, okay? Look, I could be wrong, but it could be bipolar disease like our mom.
By what?
It's manic depression, Mick.
It's like high highs followed by low lows over and over again. We'll get him an appointment at the clinic and we'll see what they say.
No, look, he's low. We cheer him up.
It's not like that. He may have to be hospitalized.
What do you mean, like a psych ward? He's staying here.
He could end up suicidal.
Can we hide the knives until he perks? Let me take care of him until he's better.
It could be weeks. It's mood swings, okay? It's almost impossible to handle.
They decide not to do anything or see any doctors yet, but then after a few weeks of Ian's depressive episode comes yet again another manic episode. This time, Ian gets an idea to go around to different airports and take as much unclaimed baggage as he can. Then Mickey decides to talk to Ian about how the way he's acting isn't normal, and Mickey realizes that yes, there is something wrong with Ian, and yes, he needs to get help now, but Ian doesn't take this too lightly. He doesn't think there's something wrong with him.
What? You're sick. You need help. I gotta take you to a hospital, Ian.
In retaliation to people saying he's sick and Ian not believing so, he takes the baby named Yevgeny that was living in their house with them, a long story, and Ian runs away. Eventually, though, he gets arrested because he left Yevgeny, the baby, in a hot car for too long, and a lady who saw this called the cops. Then, because everything was getting so out of hand, Ian gets admitted into a mental hospital for a bit. But he still doesn't want to admit that he's bipolar because he doesn't want to be compared to his awful mom. While Ian's at the hospital, we get to see a bit about how the whole medication for bipolar works and why those with bipolar disorder often hate their medication at first because of how it makes them feel. At the hospital, Ian was on lithium, which is a sedative medication often used for those with bipolar.
There he is. Hey. How you doing, sweet face?
You going home?
In a couple days, yeah. Should we sit? Hanging in there? Is the food any good? Yeah, everyone's good on our end, right?
Yeah.
Where you going?
I'm tired.
While at the hospital, we get to see a bit more of how Ian resists his diagnosis.
How you feeling, Ian?
Better. Not so foggy.
Good.
Does that mean I can leave now?
You signed an authorization to be admitted.
My family wants me to.
Why's that?
They think I have what my mother has.
Which is what?
Bipolar.
Are you bipolar? How do you know your mother was?
Stuff she did.
Have you done any of the things your mother's done?
No.
Police report says you stole a camera.
Yeah, I didn't steal him. They were trying to steal him.
Indiana? Who was trying to steal him?
We were going to Orlando, and then the police tried to steal him.
You know that's not true, right?
Were you there?
I know you don't want to hear this, Ian, but you show signs of bipolar disorder. Look, with proper medication, it can be managed, but you need to participate in your treatment.
Eventually, though, Ian gets released from the hospital with medicine, even though he still doesn't want to admit that he has bipolar disorder. Once he's home, things still aren't too great. Ian currently isn't in either a manic or depressive episode because he's on medication, but he hates the way it makes him feel, and because of this, he does something that unfortunately a lot of people with bipolar disorder who hate their medication do.
Ian, what happened to all your pills?
They're gone.
Yeah, I can see that they're gone, but gone where? Did you swallow them?
No. They're flushed.
How would you do that?
They make me feel awful, Debs. Like life is not worth living. I feel so much better just knowing they're gone.
When Fiona finds out about what Ian did, she tries to explain to him that his retaliation against his disorder is only making him seem more like their mother, which is what he doesn't want to be.
Flushed your pills? You get that that's a full-on Monica move, right?
Not Monica.
Let's go to the clinic. Let's get your new prescription.
No.
Debbie feels like it's her fault because I left her
Now
in...
you're trying to manipulate me like we used to do with Monica.
Ian,
Not Monica. I went for a drive.
you took a baby.
I get why everyone's freaking out, but I mean, you pulled some pretty serious not too long ago, and everyone didn't try to turn on you and permanently medicate you.
I went to jail.
So did I. Now I'm out. I'm not Monica any more than you are.
After the talk with Fiona, though, Ian does realize that he really is sick.
Too much is wrong with me. Too much is wrong with me. And you can't do anything about that. You can't change it. You can't fix me, because I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed, okay? I'm me.
As much as Ian doesn't want to be compared to his mother, and as much as the Gallagher kids hated how their mother treated them in the past, the Gallagher kids still love Ian with all their hearts and want to show him that they'll support him through thick and thin no matter what, and that having bipolar disorder won't change that.
Hey, you remember David Kaczynski? He used you to break the record of black eyes. I always remember what you told me. You said, I got this. Ian, you got this.
But just when Ian starts to come to terms with being bipolar, the generals from the military that were looking for him after what he did at the military while he was in a manic episode find him, and they want to put him in jail for what he did. But the Gallagher kids and Mickey have to explain to the generals that Ian is in fact bipolar and was having a manic episode during that time. And the explanation completely destroys all Ian's contentness that he found with himself and his disorder that took him so long to build up.
Ian is clinically bipolar.
This diagnosis was made by a doctor?
Yes, sir, and we can get you those medical records too.
But he's been acting crazy for longer than that.
At least this past year.
He's different.
He'll go back and forth from, being depressed to, incredibly wound up.
Our mother was bipolar, so we know what it looks like. She put us through hell, and I'm not saying that you put us through hell, but when they're manic, they can be destructive.
In your opinion, does he require medication?
Yes.
Is he unable to care for himself?
Sometimes, yes.
Ian then actually decides to contact his mother, Monica, to talk to her about their shared disorder. And although Monica isn't the best person to go to for advice, she makes Ian realize something that he needed to realize all along.
I'm glad you came. I wasn't sure you would when I called you.
Of course I would.
It's good to see you. I'm really glad you came. I needed someone to talk to who gets it. The others try.
Yeah, I know. Fiona and I'm here.
No, they don't know we still talk. Which is funny, because they all say how alike we are.
That's probably not a compliment.
No, I think it is.
Yeah. There's always gonna be people that are gonna try and fix us. And you can never make those people happy. Like it breaks their heart just to look at you. You should never apologize for being you. You, Ian. I love you.
From here on, things really do start turning up for Ian. Now that he's come to true terms with his disorder and takes his medication, he's much happier and is back to his same original, happy, hardworking, caring, and kind self. Even though he does what he's supposed to do with his disorder, there will still be a few times when his medication doesn't work and he has an episode. There will still be times where he wished he didn't have a mental illness, and there will still be times when he wishes he could have been able to stay on the ROTC path and get into his dream school of West Point. But now, the show is soon going to air their 10th season, and as the seasons continue to go by, Ian is dealing with his disorder in the best way possible and has truly learned to accept that he is still himself, even with his disorder. So, in the life of Ian Gallagher and his story with bipolar I disorder, he had some really tough times. But he now knows that he won't be affected by his disorder every single day of his life. He now knows that for bipolar, yes, it's a life condition, but no, it's not his fault that he has the disorder. No, he is not his illness. Yes, he was still able to accept himself. Yes, he can repair the messes he made during episodes. Yes, he can still love and be loved. Yes, he can be happy. And most importantly, he is more than just his illness.